You know, there's something absolutely miraculous that happens when you stop holding on so tightly to everything in your life. Most of us spend our entire existence grabbing, clutching, trying to control every single outcome, every person, every circumstance. We wake up in the morning already planning how we're going to make things happen, how we're going to force life to bend to our will, and then we wonder why we're exhausted. We wonder why we're stressed. We wonder why, despite all our effort, things still don't turn out the way we expected. Here's what I've learned after all these years of studying human behavior, of working with thousands of people, of examining my own struggles and breakthroughs. The universe operates on a principle that's completely opposite to what most of us have been taught. We've been conditioned to believe that more effort equals more results, that if we just push harder, grip tighter, control better, we'll finally get what we want. But that's not how life works. That's not how the energy of this universe flows. Think about water for a moment. When you try to grab water with a clenched fist, what happens? It slips right through your fingers. But when you cup your hands gently, when you allow the water to rest in your open palms, you can hold it. You can drink from it. You can be nourished by it. Life is exactly the same way. The tighter you grip, the more it eludes you. The more you let go, the more it flows toward you. Now, I'm not talking about giving up. I'm not suggesting you become passive or indifferent. There's a massive difference between letting go and giving up. Giving up is surrender born from defeat. Letting go is surrender born from wisdom. Letting go means you're still engaged with life, you're still participating, you're still creating, but you're doing it from a place of trust rather than fear. You're doing it from a place of allowing rather than forcing. Most of our attachment comes from fear. We're afraid that if we don't control the outcome, something terrible will happen. We're afraid that if we don't micromanage every detail, everything will fall apart. We're afraid that if we're not constantly vigilant, constantly pushing, constantly striving, we'll lose what we have or never get what we want. But this fear-based approach to life is exactly what creates our suffering. It's exactly what blocks the very things we're trying to attract. When you operate from fear, you're operating from a state of lack. You're telling the universe, I don't have enough. I'm not enough. Life isn't giving me what I need, so I have to take it by force. And the universe, being the mirror that it is, reflects that energy right back to you. You get more experiences of lack, more experiences of struggle, more experiences of having to fight for everything. But when you let go, when you release that death grip on how things should be, you open yourself up to how things could be. And I promise you, the universe is far more creative, far more generous, far more abundant than your limited human mind could ever conceive. Your ego, your conscious mind, can only see a few steps ahead. It can only plan based on what it already knows, what it's already experienced. But the infinite intelligence that runs this universe, the same intelligence that grows a baby from 2 cells, the same intelligence that keeps planets in orbit and makes your heart beat without your conscious effort, that intelligence has a much bigger plan for you than you could ever design for yourself. I've seen this play out countless times in my own life. Every single time I've tried to force something to happen, I've either failed or succeeded in creating something that wasn't really aligned with my highest good. But every time I've let go, every time I've said, okay, I'm going to do my part, I'm going to take inspired action, but I'm going to release my attachment to the specific outcome, magic has happened. Opportunities I never could have predicted showed up. People I never knew existed came into my life. Solutions to problems that seemed impossible suddenly became clear. Let me be more specific about what letting go actually means in practical terms. It doesn't mean you stop having goals or desires. It doesn't mean you sit around waiting for life to happen to you. What it means is you hold your goals lightly. You move toward them with enthusiasm and commitment, but you don't strangle them with your need for them to manifest in one specific way at one specific time. When you're attached to an outcome, you're saying, I know exactly how this needs to happen, when it needs to happen, and who needs to be involved. You've written the entire script in your head, and now you're upset when reality doesn't follow your screenplay. But when you let go of attachment, you're saying, I know what I want to create or experience, and I'm going to move in that direction, but I'm open to it showing up in ways I haven't even thought of. I'm open to it being even better than I imagined. I'm open to the timing being different than I planned if that serves my highest good. This is especially important when it comes to relationships. Oh, how we suffer in our relationships because of our attachments. We meet someone, And immediately our ego starts creating a story about who they should be, how they should behave, what they should give us. And then we spend the entire relationship trying to mold them into our preconceived idea instead of allowing them to be who they actually are. We try to change them, control them, fix them. And we're miserable because they keep being themselves instead of our fantasy version of them. Or we hold on to relationships that have clearly run their course because we're attached to how things used to be, or attached to our investment of time and energy, or attached to not being alone. We stay in situations that drain us, that diminish us, that prevent us from growing, all because we can't let go. We're so afraid of the empty space that would be left behind that we'd rather fill it with something that makes us unhappy than face the temporary discomfort of release. But here's what I want you to understand. When you let go of a person or situation that isn't serving you, you're not losing anything real. You're only losing your attachment to an idea, a fantasy, a hope that things could be different than they are. And when you release that attachment, you make space for something authentic to enter your life. You make space for relationships that uplift you, for situations that align with your growth, for experiences that actually fulfill you. The same principle applies to your relationship with material things. Money, possessions, status, these are all wonderful things to have, and there's nothing wrong with wanting them. But when you're attached to them, when your sense of worth and security is tied to them, you become their slave. You make decisions based on fear of losing them rather than on what truly serves your soul's purpose. You sacrifice your peace, your health, your integrity to get them or keep them. I've watched people destroy themselves chasing money because they were attached to the idea that money would make them happy, would make them worthy, would make them safe. They got the money, and they were still unhappy, still felt unworthy, still felt unsafe. Why? Because they hadn't addressed the inner void they were trying to fill. They were looking outside themselves for something that could only be found within. When you let go of your attachment to money as a source of security and instead trust that you live in an abundant universe that will always provide what you need, something shifts. You still work, you still create value, you still receive compensation, but you do it from a place of joy and service rather than desperation and fear. And ironically, when you operate from that energy, you often end up with more money than you would have by chasing it frantically. This is the paradox of letting go. By releasing your desperate need for something, you actually become more magnetic to it. Why? Because neediness repels. Confidence attracts. When you need something, you're in a state of lack, and that energy pushes away the very thing you want. But when you want something without needing it, when you desire it but know you'll be fine either way, you're in a state of abundance, and that energy draws things to you effortlessly. Think about how this shows up in everyday situations. When you desperately need someone to like you, they can feel that neediness and it pushes them away. But when you're comfortable being yourself, when you're okay whether they like you or not, suddenly you become more attractive. When you desperately need a job, you go into the interview tense and trying too hard, and they can sense it. But when you know your worth, when you trust that if this job isn't right, there will be another one, you show up confident and authentic, and you're more likely to get hired. The energy of desperation, of attachment, of neediness, literally changes how you show up in the world. It affects your body language, your tone of voice, the decisions you make, the opportunities you notice or miss. When you're attached, you're contracted, you're tight, you're closed off. But when you let go, you expand, you relax, you open up. And in that openness, life can reach you. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. This sounds great in theory, but how do I actually let go? I've been trying to stop worrying, stop controlling, stop being attached, and I can't seem to do it. And that's because you can't force yourself to let go. You can't make letting go another thing on your to-do list, another goal to achieve through effort and willpower. Letting go happens naturally when you shift your perspective, when you change your underlying beliefs about how life works. The first step is becoming aware of what you're attached to. Most of us don't even realize how many things we're gripping tightly. We think we're just living our lives, but we're actually in a constant state of low-grade anxiety about maintaining control. So start noticing, when do you feel tense? What thoughts create anxiety in your body? What situations trigger your need to control? Just observe without judgment. Awareness is always the first step toward change. Once you're aware of your attachments, the next step is questioning the beliefs behind them. If you're attached to someone's approval, ask yourself why. What do you believe will happen if they don't approve of you? If you're attached to a specific outcome, ask yourself why this particular outcome seems so important. What are you making it mean about you or your life? Usually, when you drill down, you'll find that you're attaching your identity, your worth, or your safety to external circumstances. And that's the root of all suffering. Your worth is not determined by your accomplishments, your relationships, your bank account, or any other external measure. Your worth is inherent. It was established the moment you came into existence. You are an individualized expression of the infinite creative force of the universe. You are literally made of the same energy that creates galaxies. How could you not be worthy? How could you not be enough? Your value isn't something you have to earn or prove. It simply is. When you really understand this, when you feel this truth in your bones, letting go becomes natural. You stop needing external validation because you validate yourself. You stop needing to control outcomes because you trust that you're always being guided toward your highest good. You stop needing people, circumstances, or things to be different than they are because you know that your peace, your happiness, your fulfillment come from within. This doesn't mean you become indifferent or apathetic. You still care about things. You still have preferences. You still take action toward your goals. But there's a lightness to it. There's a trust. There's a knowing that whether things work out the way you planned or not, you're going to be okay. More than okay. You're going to grow, learn, and evolve through whatever happens. I want to talk about control for a moment because this is where so many of us get stuck. We've been taught that we're supposed to control our lives, that responsible adults manage and control everything. But the truth is, we control very little. We don't control other people. We can't make someone love us, respect us, or behave the way we want them to. We don't control circumstances. We can't prevent loss, change, or unexpected challenges from showing up in our lives. We don't even fully control our own minds and bodies. Thoughts arise whether we want them to or not. Physical sensations, emotions, and impulses happen automatically. So what do we actually control? We control our response to what happens. We control where we place our attention. We control the meaning we assign to events. We control the actions we choose to take. That's it. And that's enough. When you stop trying to control all the things you can't control and focus on the things you can, you become powerful. Not in a dominating way, but in an authentic, grounded way. Letting go of control doesn't mean nothing is in your hands. It means you're taking your hands off everything that was never yours to hold in the first place. You're releasing your grip on other people's choices, on past events you can't change, on future outcomes you can't guarantee. And in doing so, you free up enormous amounts of energy that you can now direct toward what you actually can influence. Think about how much energy you waste trying to control things that are beyond your control. You replay conversations in your head, wishing you'd said something different. You worry about what might happen in the future, rehearsing disasters that will probably never occur. You try to manage other people's opinions of you, constantly adjusting your behavior to win approval. All of this is exhausting, and none of it is effective. When you let go of the illusion of control, you get your energy back. You get your life back. You're no longer scattered across 1,000 different concerns, most of which are imaginary. You're present. You're here. You're available for the actual experience of your life instead of being lost in your thoughts about your life. This presence is incredibly powerful. When you're truly present, you notice things you would have missed. You feel your intuition more clearly. You respond to situations with wisdom rather than reacting from old patterns. You connect with people authentically instead of performing for them. You experience joy, beauty, and love more fully because you're actually there for them. And here's something beautiful that happens when you let go. You stop being motivated by fear and start being motivated by love. Fear says, I have to make this happen, or something bad will occur. Love says, I want to create this because it would be beautiful, meaningful, or joyful. Fear contracts and strains. Love expands and flows. Fear is exhausting. Love is energizing. When you're creating from love rather than fear, everything changes. Your work becomes more creative, more inspired, more effective. Your relationships become more genuine, more intimate, more satisfying. Your life becomes an expression of who you really are rather than a defense against who you're afraid of being. I've spent decades studying spiritual texts from every tradition, and they all point to this same truth. Whether it's the Tao Te Ching talking about Wu Wei, effortless action, or the Bhagavad Gita discussing non-attachment to the fruits of action, or Jesus teaching about not worrying about tomorrow, or the Buddha explaining the cause of suffering, they're all saying the same thing. Attachment is the problem. Letting go is the solution. But these aren't just ancient teachings. Modern psychology has caught up with this wisdom. Research shows that people who are less attached to specific outcomes experience less stress, better mental health, more creativity, and often more success in achieving their goals. Why? Because they're not blocking the flow with their anxiety and rigidity. They're open to possibilities. They adapt more easily. They see opportunities that others miss because they're not fixated on one narrow path. Neuroscience has shown us that when we're anxious and controlling, our brain literally narrows its focus. We go into a stress response where we can only see threats and problems, but when we're relaxed and trusting, our brain opens up. We can see more options, make better decisions, and tap into our higher cognitive functions. Letting go isn't just spiritually wise, it's biologically smart. Now, let's talk about what happens when you actually practice this. When you start letting go, things might feel scary at first. Your ego is going to protest. It's going to tell you that if you don't stay in control, everything will fall apart. It's going to create fearful scenarios about all the terrible things that will happen if you release your grip. This is normal. Your ego's job is to keep you safe, and it thinks staying in control is how to do that. But you're not your ego. You're the awareness behind your thoughts. You're the infinite part of yourself that knows you're always safe because you're always connected to the source of all life. So when those fearful thoughts arise, you don't have to believe them. You can acknowledge them, thank your ego for trying to protect you, and then gently redirect your attention to trust. Trust is the antidote to control. When you trust that the universe is fundamentally benevolent, that it's always moving in the direction of greater life, growth, and love, you can relax. You can let go. You don't have to figure everything out. You don't have to make everything happen. You can do your part and trust that the universe will do its part. This trust develops over time as you test it out. You let go of something small and notice that not only did nothing terrible happen, but often something better showed up. You release control in a relationship and find that the relationship either improves or naturally ends, making space for a better one. You stop forcing a particular career path and find that a new opportunity emerges that's more aligned with who you really are. Each time you let go and see that you're supported, your trust grows. Eventually, you get to a place where letting go feels more natural than holding on, where trust feels more comfortable than control, where you actually prefer the experience of flowing with life rather than fighting against it. And this is when life really starts to give back to you, not because you've earned it or deserve it more than before, but because you've finally opened yourself up to receive it. You've removed the blocks. You've stopped pushing away abundance with your desperate grasping. You've become a clear channel for life to flow through you and to you. Things start showing up that you didn't even ask for. Synchronicities increase. You meet the right person at the right time. You hear about an opportunity just when you need it. You receive help from unexpected sources. Solutions appear for problems you were struggling with. It's not magic, although it can certainly feel magical. It's simply the natural result of aligning yourself with the flow of life rather than resisting it. The more you let go, the more you receive. But here's the beautiful twist. The more you receive, the less attached you become to receiving. You realize that the real treasure wasn't the things you received, but the person you became in the process of learning to let go. The peace, the freedom, the trust, the openness, the love. These inner riches are worth more than anything external you could ever acquire. When you reach this understanding, you become truly free. Free from the tyranny of your own desires. Free from the prison of other people's opinions. Free from the burden of trying to control an uncontrollable universe. And in that freedom, you can finally enjoy your life. Not someday when everything is perfect, but right now, with all its imperfections and uncertainties, you can appreciate what you have without clinging to it. You can work toward goals without your happiness, depending on achieving them. You can love people without needing them to complete you. You can face challenges without being destroyed by them. You can experience loss without losing yourself. You can embrace change without fear. This is what it means to truly live. Not to grip and control and force and manipulate, but to participate fully, respond authentically, create joyfully, and release peacefully. To show up with your whole heart while holding the outcome lightly. To care deeply while remaining unattached to results. Let me share something personal with you. For years, I held on to anger about my childhood. I resented my father for abandoning our family. I carried that resentment like a heavy stone, thinking somehow that my anger was punishing him. But the only person it was hurting was me. That anger was coloring every relationship I had, every decision I made, every moment of my life. When I finally let it go, when I truly forgave and released that resentment, everything changed. Not because my past changed, the facts remained the same, but my relationship to those facts transformed completely. I was no longer a victim of my history. I was no longer defined by what someone else had done decades ago. I was free. And in that freedom, I could finally become who I was meant to be. That's what letting go does. It liberates you from the past and the future so you can inhabit the present. It releases you from who you thought you had to be so you can be who you actually are. It frees you from the prison of your own mind so you can experience the vastness of life itself. And here's what I want you to really hear. You don't have to let go of everything all at once. This isn't an all or nothing proposition. You can start small, choose one thing you've been gripping tightly, and consciously release it. Maybe it's a grudge you've been holding. Maybe it's a hope that someone will change. Maybe it's anxiety about a situation you can't control. Just one thing. Release it with intention. You might say to yourself, I choose to let this go. I release my grip on this outcome, this person, this need. I trust that whatever happens, I will be okay. I trust that the universe has my back. I trust that I am always being guided toward my highest good. And then notice what happens. Notice how your body feels. Notice the space that opens up. Notice what shows up in that space. Then, when you're ready, choose another thing to release, and another. Not because you have to, but because you want to. Because you've experienced the freedom and peace that comes from letting go, and you want more of that. Because you've seen that the universe really does support you when you release your death grip on life. This is a practice. It's not a destination you arrive at once and for all. You'll find yourself gripping tightly again, and that's okay. The moment you notice you're holding on too tight, you have the opportunity to let go again. Each time you do, it gets easier. Each time you do, you deepen your trust. Each time you do, you open yourself more fully to the abundant, generous, creative flow of life. And I want to be clear about something. Letting go doesn't mean you won't experience pain or loss or disappointment. Life includes all of those things. But when you're not attached, when you're not desperately clinging to how things should be, you can move through those difficult experiences with more grace. You can. Feel your feelings fully without being destroyed by them. You can grieve without becoming bitter. You can acknowledge disappointment without giving up on life. In fact, letting go allows you to feel your emotions more authentically because you're not wasting energy trying to control or suppress them. You can be with what is, whatever it is, knowing that you're spacious enough to hold it all. Knowing that emotions are temporary visitors, not permanent residents. Knowing that this too shall pass. This capacity to be with life as it is, rather than as you wish it were, is the ultimate maturity. It's the difference between being tossed around by circumstances and remaining centered regardless of what's happening around you. It's the difference between suffering and pain. Pain is inevitable in life. Suffering is optional. Suffering is what happens when we resist pain, when we attach to the idea that things shouldn't be as they are. When you let go of resistance, you can experience pain without creating suffering. You can feel loss without losing yourself. You can face uncertainty without being paralyzed by fear. Because underneath all the temporary circumstances of your life, there's a permanent foundation of peace. There's the unchanging awareness that you are, that has been and always will be, regardless of what comes and goes in your experience. This awareness is your true self. It's not your ego, your personality, your roles, your achievements, or your failures. It's the consciousness itself. And when you identify with this awareness rather than with the changing contents of your life, letting go becomes natural, because you realize that you can't lose what you truly are. The things you're so afraid of losing, your youth, your health, your relationships, your status, they were never who you are anyway. They're experiences you're having, but they're not you. You are the experiencer. You are the eternal, infinite awareness in which all experiences arise and pass away. When you really get this, when you feel this truth beyond just understanding it intellectually, you become fearless. Not in the sense that you never feel fear, but in the sense that you're no longer controlled by fear. Fear becomes just another sensation moving through your awareness, rather than a dictator determining your choices. From this place of identification with your true self, you can participate fully in life without being destroyed when things don't go your way. You can love completely without the fear of loss preventing you from opening your heart. You can commit fully to your goals while remaining unattached to specific outcomes. You can engage passionately with life while maintaining your inner peace. This is the paradox and the promise of letting go. You become more alive, not less. More engaged, not less. More creative, not less. More loving, not less. But you're doing it all from a place of freedom rather than need, from overflow rather than deficit, from trust rather than fear. And the universe responds to that energy. Life rewards that openness. Not because you've manipulated some cosmic vending machine, but because you've aligned yourself with how life actually works. You've stopped working against the current and started flowing with it. And when you flow with life rather than fighting it, you discover that life has been trying to give to you all along. You were just too tense, too closed, too attached to receive it. So my invitation to you is simple, though not always easy. Start letting go. Start with whatever feels manageable. Release your grip just a little bit on something you've been holding tightly. Notice what happens. Learn to trust through experience, not just belief. Test it out. See for yourself that the more you let go, the more life gives you. And remember, you're not doing this alone. You're supported by the same infinite intelligence that orchestrates the entire universe. The same force that knows how to grow a tree from a seed, how to heal a wound, how to turn food into energy. This same force is available to guide your life if you'll get out of the way and let it. Stop trying to do everything yourself. Stop thinking that your small, limited ego has to figure it all out. Surrender to the higher intelligence that's already within you, already guiding you, already conspiring for your benefit. Your job isn't to control everything. Your job is to be present, to be open, to be willing, to take inspired action when called, and to let go of the rest. When you live this way, life becomes an adventure rather than a burden, an unfolding mystery rather than a problem to solve, a gift to receive rather than a battle to win. And you finally get to experience the peace, joy, and freedom that you've been seeking all along, not by grasping for them, but by releasing everything that's been blocking them. The more you let go, the more life gives you. Not just more stuff, although that may come too, but more of what really matters. More peace, more love, more joy, more connection, more creativity, more aliveness, more of your true self. And isn't that what you really want anyway? Isn't that what all the grasping and controlling and forcing has really been about? The desire to feel okay, to feel safe, to feel whole. Well, here's the secret. You already are okay. You already are safe. You already are whole. Not because of anything you've achieved or acquired, but because of what you inherently are. You are an expression of infinite love taking form. You are the universe experiencing itself. You are consciousness exploring its own creation. And nothing you do or don't do, nothing you gain or lose, nothing that happens or doesn't happen can change that fundamental truth. When you rest in this truth, letting go isn't a sacrifice. It's a relief. It's the natural response to realizing that you never had to hold on so tightly in the first place. That you were always held. That you are always held. That there's a larger intelligence, a deeper wisdom, a greater love supporting you in every moment. Trust that. Let go into that. And watch your life transform in ways you never could have forced or controlled into being. The more you let go, the more life gives you. Not someday, not in theory, but right now, in this very moment, as you release your grip and open your hands to receive all that's already here, already available, already waiting for you to simply accept it. This is the path of peace. This is the way of wisdom. This is the art of living. Let go and let life love you the way it's been trying to all along.